I'm gonna see at the end and see the number at the end.
Without those caveats. As Game Science's debut action game, Black Myth: Wukong is mostly a great success, despite some major technical black marks and localization issues that are likely to cause some frustrations at launch. Combat is fantastic, thanks to a great balance of careful resource management and lightning-fast.
So what is a localization issue? I never heard of that.
Twitch reaction gameplay that tested my skills as much as Elden Ring ever has, despite it being a more traditional action game than From Software style. Not only that, but there are a ton of exciting boss battles, a great variety of enemies, and the world they inhabit is an absolute treat for the eyes and ears.
Translations?
Its story has its moments, but relies a bit too much on having prior knowledge of the events of Journey to the West, and it really could have used a map to make its rewarding exploration measure up to the strength of the combat. All said, its strengths more than carry it through, making Black Myth: Wukong a great action game that could be even...
Oh god. You know what this means, right? That this whole IGN review it's like a non-review. It means 8 because 8 is good enough to please the people that are gonna like it and please the people who are not gonna like it. This is like a non-review. This means nothing because this means that this could be a 5 and it could mean that it's a 10. This means nothing.
Greater if Game Science can squash the bugs. For more Black Myth: Wukong, make sure to check out the first minutes of the game.
Hey, and we're back with another episode of Black Myth.
Hold on. Oh.
Before you buy that show, we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and today we're talking about Black Myth: Wukong. This is a big action combat adventure from Game Science. This is a mobile developer jumping into their first big console PC game.
Chat, is it the engine that they're using, chat? Is it the engine? Guys, I know I'm being too critical and nitpicking it.
Developer,
but these effects always cause frame rate issues all the time. The water, the ripple effect in the wind and with lightning, why do they still use this shit? Dude, it's some like Korean MMO type shit. Stop using this shit, man. I'm tired of it.
First big console PC game. Now, this game has been slowly hyped up for years.
Like this.
From its graphics to its character and story, and we've been cautiously keeping an eye on.
This has all three.
Now, keep in mind with this video, this is my first impressions after the first like 13, 14 hours or so, but I'm actually liking this one more than I expected. It's flawed for sure, but I think if you had your eye on this and you were hopeful, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's ambitious, and even where it stumbles, I think this is a great debut for this studio. And just so you know, I've been playing a review copy on PC, that's where all this footage is, and all of this gameplay footage you see here is spoiler-free. So, if you haven't already heard this, it's important to note that Black Myth: Wukong is inspired by the 16th century classical Chinese novel Journey to the West. Now, this to me is one of the game's defining bits. It's why I was interested. You play as a badass monkey with a staff and you go on a really varied adventure fighting zombies and creatures, rat kings, evil ancient...
Spoiler free, what do you want to do? Want to fucking black out every part that shows a piece of information? Guys, spoiler free is the packages and requests that you get when you get a fucking like a media package. They tell you what parts of the game not to show, what to show, whatever. That means it just shows combat and just basic mechanic course of that tell people about the game, without telling them what the game is about.
Ancient monks, dragons, you name it. This is a fairly linearly structured game with some diversions. It's not really a Souls-like, like many people expected. Sure, you rest and level up at like bonfire checkpoints, but that's really where the comparisons end. This is an action combat.
Okay, dude, come on, man. Come on, man. Dude, this guy does a million reviews, I'm pretty sure, with his channel. What are you talking about, brother? Minimalistic UI, one health bar, your mana bar, your stamina, rolling. This is pretty much a Souls-like. What are you talking about?
Adventure with light RPG elements. You have some stats to worry about, but you're not upgrading like a multitude of stats like endurance
What?
and strength and
That's
magic
pretty
and
much a
intelligence.
Souls-like.
No, it's
What are
all
you on
just
about?
focused on, you know, the basic level up and simple loot and character progression through a skill tree and some other tricks along the way. Now, your character as a baseline has a heavy and light attack as well as a dodge. A lot of it is based around focus points, so you need to dodge and strike and do well to build this up, or hold a button to waste some stamina and charge it up, and then bam. When you have these points, you can launch a...
When you have major points that are pretty much unique to a style, and you have a lot of them, yes, it's a that game's like. You can take inspiration from games, right? You can take inspiration, okay, without it being like that. This has enough strong points, you can call it a Souls-like. It's perfectly fine. That's what I agree with myself with this take, okay? It's when the core foundation pieces, like checkpoints, like method of combat, like UI, yes, it's a Souls-like. What about it?
More powerful heavy attack that can often stagger enemies and have other bonuses. You can also deflect certain enemy projectiles, but otherwise your main defense is really just dodging like crazy. Perfect dodges are rewarded with a satisfying effect and a little bonus, so get that focus stored up and hit triangle at the right moment and bam! A Monster Hunter great sword.
So now chat is telling me that in this game, there's gonna be no places that you walk on that you fall to your death. There's gonna be no enemies hidden in a dark corridor as you turn left and you get backstabbed. There's gonna be none of that, right? None of that. There's no way.
Sword level slam dunk that just feels so satisfying.
I'm telling you, these are core things that were pretty much unique, or a lot of them were unique to Souls games. Therefore, it's more of a Souls like anything else.
Really pull off. There are also multiple stances that are swappable on the fly with the D-pad. These stances are really just variations on the monkey's staff. Oh, did I forget to mention that it's like a staff that can transform? Because that's part of the ancient lore, man. Get with it. These don't change your entire fighting style, but they do matter the most with that charged heavy attack for situational shakeups. There's the big heavy slam, which is just so satisfying. I tend to stick with that as the main. But then there's the elevated staff where the monkey perches atop.
Defeated. Ooh.
Bit like a tall pole, avoiding
That's very
some
unique.
damage
I've never
while
seen it in my life.
also charging up
what
a big
a way to tell
downward
you won the battle.
There's more, and I'm still
That's very
experimenting
unique.
with them, but I'll let you discover them. They seem pretty situational, and I've had a tendency to only swap to and use them in specific instances, more than just having them equipped and using them consistently. Even still, sometimes it's tough to learn where exactly a stance might work, because enemy attacks are so insane and aggressive, it can take a lot of trial and...
It's not the fact that other games have it. It's not the fact, is that all of these things are in line with that style. Most of these things are in line with that. It's like putting checkboxes. Like, yes, a lot of it lines up. It's okay to say, yeah, it's more that than other things. It's a lot more like it. It's a Souls-like.
Error to really get what the hell you're doing with a stance.
A
lot of times you're given these stances
man.
and then their use case isn't really spelled out for you. You gotta just figure it out. But still,
Say that one more time.
and their use case isn't really doing with us. And aggressive, it can take a lot of trial and error to really get what the hell you're doing with a stance. A lot of the times you're given these stances and then their use case isn't really spelled out for you. You gotta just figure it out.
Oh, okay.
But still, I kind of like...
So it's kind of blurry and there's no like real tutorial. It's just stuff you pick up and... Oh, okay. A little bit like in a Souls game.
Along with that, you have a magic meter that you can spend on special abilities. The first one introduced to you is a temporary and pretty short enemy freeze, like catching them for just enough time to land a few hits. Some of these abilities are offensive, some that help a little bit in the defense department, and they're paced throughout the game and seem effective, but more importantly, entertaining and fun to pull off at the right moment. It's just so good to screw over.
Zelda has that, but doesn't have almost everything that Souls-like things have. Therefore, if there's a checklist of 50 items and Zelda has 4 of them, well, it's not really Souls-like. If this element has something that you can do that can be different, but it's not different than a Souls game, and you check all those, and you're at like 39 out of 50, yeah, it's pretty Souls-like. It's a Souls-like.
Over an enemy at the last second. These are on cooldowns, but the bigger challenge and strategy...
You guys were spamming in the chat when we played the Shroud game. This is a Valorant copy. Okay. what does it have the same as Valorant then? Oh, you have a gun, and you have bomb sights and a bomb? Oh wait, is it because it's some of the art style? Some of the gunplay? Oh wow, it's pretty much like Valorant. It's a Valorant-like pretty much. It's a CS-like, just like this. This is Souls-like.
Is not burning your entire magic meter before getting to a challenging enemy where you're really gonna need it. You're also essentially defeating certain enemies and collecting some of their abilities. Our hero character is canonically like a shapeshifter, and throughout the game, you defeat and earn the ability to transform into these enemies temporarily. There's a full transformation where like you can temporarily become a different creature and walk around and kick ass, or ones that you trigger and you will transform for a moment for like
see how it lags when you do all that?
A big special one-hit attack or like a poison blast, stuff like that.
I don't like that.
These things give variation to a pretty simple striking combat system. You can do
it's
light
so-
attacks
it's so
and then
easy
time it
to
right with a
not
heavy
have that,
attack,
but
and the
games
animations
choose to
are
do it anyway.
incredible. But after a while, you might find yourself just doing the same best combos over and over again. It really only matters when an enemy feels like a grind, or like when you're fighting low-level enemies. The more complex bosses, you really have bigger things to worry about. Is the combat most refined, the most laser-precise,
Ooh, like that? Like this? Dude.
balanced thing? No. If you were looking for a Souls-like, this is where you might be disappointed if you were looking for even more depth, but I had fun with it. Story-wise, it has a lot going for it because of like what I said, like what it's based on. I only know the basics of Sun Wukong, but I was really just here for the ride and to be exposed to Chinese myth. You get mysterious tales, beautiful vignettes, thoughtful quotes, really well-designed and cool-looking characters and cinematic action framing, but I didn't really get a good feel for a sense of story. You just kind of go along, things happen, and characters say things and quote random things, and it really does not do a good job of ushering people into these ancient tales. I was still curious the whole time and had fun seeing cool stuff, but I wasn't like compelled or emotionally invested.
Oh, wait a
It's
minute.
just like a sequence.
The story isn't spelled out for you, and they don't really just tell you everything, and you have to close the gap between one part and the other and kind of have an idea what the story is. Ooh, I know a game or two like that.
Of really cool
Hey,
stuff.
I know a couple
Now,
games
the
like
game
that.
is structured in chapters. There's typically a big bad boss at the end of a chapter, and it's a matter of you getting your way there. You might run into one mid-boss that kicks your ass, so turn around and find another alternating path that likely brings you to another mid-boss you can cut your teeth on first. Occasionally, you'll run into an NPC,
Wow. Rest, travel. Dude.
or a little mystery, but this is mostly areas with
Like a little fire,
few
like
mob
a-
type
like a
enemies
bonfire.
that mostly
Hold on.
aren't too crazy, and then a few tougher guys here and there, and then lots and lots of bosses. Like, I mean it. You can fight one unique boss, walk through a hallway, and then bam, there's a completely new, different boss ready to square up. This is where the game is really ambitious. Like I said, the amount of unique fights feels really, really damn special. The amount of times I
Dude.
was in a glory.
I just wish it's such a simple, small... Guys, I know I'm being overly critical, and you're gonna get mad at me, dude. There is so many things you can make and be creative with something fun. Like, oh, a tree that has a certain shape or something like that, right? And the monkey like jumps into the tree and rests on the branch. But it's always a thing that you lift it, that you stand on, that you rest at. It's always the same exact thing. Why can't you just do something that's a little bit different? But it's not. It's still the same thing, but different.
A few mob type enemies that mostly
why
aren't
not?
too crazy.
Why not?
And then a few tougher
I
guys
don't get it.
here and there. And then
Why the
lots and
exact
lots
thing?
of bosses.
Always.
Like, I mean it. You can fight one unique boss, walk through a hallway, and then bam, there's a completely new, different boss ready to square up. This is where the game is really ambitious. Like I said, the amount of unique fights feels really, really damn special. The amount of times I was in a glorious, over-the-top, brutal fight with, like, you know, screen-filling animations and explosions, thinking, oh man, this has to be the end of this whole chapter or
dude,
sequence.
he's just
Yeah,
shredding
maybe
the
I'll get
boss
a big
down,
cutscene or
like-
something. And then I finally beat them, and then nope, that was just a regular pedestrian boss in the middle of a level with another one right around the corner. A mid-boss in this game rivals some of the best bosses in other like regular action games, and That's really damn impressive. From the level of challenge to the music and setting to the over-the-top crazy movesets of some of these enemies, it's just nuts. And I've been having a lot of fun just consistently encountering new cool stuff. It makes it feel really well paced and also got me a little addicted, man. Like I kept playing after I said I'd stop because I just wanted to see the next new thing around every corner. And it's just really fun when you get a good run going and you just feel like a
I just think some of the combat looks cheese and
ruthless.
I think it's why Dark Souls or Souls-like keep the combat very strict in its style.
Go so insane that
because they don't want it to feel like cheese.
And like the camera lock-on screws up and makes it so you can't see attacks are coming. This happened to me way more than I'd like. And it was pretty annoying when I was doing well, but happened to get boxed into a corner by a taller enemy who jumps in the air, and then the camera gets stuck because it tried to pan up, and now like it's just a mess, and then I can't see big hits coming my way. Very frustrating. Also, if we're talking about annoying stuff, this game really needs a map. As far as I know, I couldn't find one. Even if it's just a vague map, it would really help because some of the chapters have really big areas. It is worth noting that you can revisit and fast travel back to previous
No map, no way, dude. I played a game a while back that had the same thing.
Previous little bonfires if you want, but that doesn't really show you much in terms of like getting a good read on an environment, on a layout. But man, I will compliment the
Zelda,
look
you think,
of these
Chat?
Areas.
Chat, was it James Bond, Chat?
Everything is really
Hold
simple,
on, was it
structured.
Mario Bros?
And I did encounter some invisible walls, which was sometimes a buzzkill. But otherwise, damn, these areas look really good.
Okay, we're done.
Dry grasslands, deep
Okay, we're done. The game looks good. I'll probably play it.
deserts, lush green, detailed forests, blinding white snow. In all of it, they really excel here. From graphics to art design, this game is absolutely gorgeous.
I'll play it the day of.